All right, here's a bit of an unfiltered video showing you some of the new onboarding stuff that we've built to get you started with Toolpath, and also walking you through how to set up your own vendor tool library in the tool recommendation engine. So the very first step you're going to want to do is go grab your core tool library. You don't have to grab that. You can use a sample library from us if you want. I'm going to export my core tool library though. Like I said, this is unfiltered, so I've done this a couple of times now as I've been testing things. So I'm going to replace that file, and then I will do it. You can see lots of testing going on here. Like I said, unfiltered. Okay. So we're going to build out your machining process now. I'd already chosen aluminum there. I'm going to upload a file. You could have picked you can pick one of our test parts if you don't have one, but I'm going to grab this steering adapter part that Scott Moyse gave me. And we can see that that's running. While that's running, I will just show you guys what's happened here in the libraries tab. That core tool aluminum library has shown up. Now I've actually already had that one prepped for Toolpath, so we're going to leave that be. But also it created a cut config for you with that tool library selected. Cut configs are how you tell Toolpath how you like to machine, different processes and things like that. And then it also pre-populated that with some recommendations. Here we have Kennametal and Harvey tools and some generic drills and countersinks and cut taps. So that's what it's running your part with. By default, it's running it with that cut config that you just built. We'll give that another moment or two to compute. While we do, I'll just show you some of the newer tool library editor stuff we've built. Now, if you've used Fusion at all, this will look very familiar to you. We allow you to modify the geometry of the end mill, the presets of the end mill. There's even some advanced stuff on there these are all the same fields you'd see in Fusion. But you can then go into a preset. You can edit any values you want in there. And so all of that works pretty standard. Things we're still working on here are bulk editing, so I can't mass select all of these guys yet. And adding some filtering and things like that to this table. But we're getting there. So I suspect we're good to go now. Yep. So we can take a look at this part. There's actually still a little bit of calculation going on. That's why the strategy tab isn't there yet. But what you can see is that this part is mostly machinable. A lot of the primary surfaces, but we can't do that pocket. Basically anything in red we can't do. So can't do this smaller hole. And then there's some contour surfaces that we can't do. I probably just don't have the right tools for it in my library, but it has suggested a whole bunch of tools for us that we could use, including a drill and a bunch of other stuff. I don't want to use those. I'm not going to buy Kennametal tools today or Harvey, but I do want to get those helical tools. So we go up to the Fusion website. We're going to download the whole helical catalog here for end mills. Now I've done this a couple of times already, but we're going to download it again, replace that file. Now, like I said, we don't quite have all the editing capabilities you need up in Toolpath just yet. So I'm actually going to use Fusion for this. We're working on that so that it won't be, it'll be more native in Toolpath soon. But I'm going to import that library. And the library is so big, in fact, that it hasn't even finished downloading yet. So I think if I do this again, okay, there we go. So pull that library in. It's pretty big, so it took a second there. There's many, many, many end mills in here. So the very first thing I'm going to do is just go filter these down. I don't want anything with more than 3 flutes in it. In Helical's catalog, that is a pretty safe bet. So 3 flutes is for aluminum. So we'll apply that filter. And now we can see we have a lot of 4 and 5 flute end mills, which are there for steel or harder materials. So we're going to get rid of those. Now Fusion doesn't have a Control A, so I did a shift click there, and then I'll delete these. I just hit the delete key. Now this is a lot of end mills. It's deleting almost 3,200 end mills, so give Fusion a moment here. It'll just take a second. That'll cut the tool library roughly in half. I think there'll still be 2,700 tools-ish left. The next thing I know about this library, but as we scan through it, we'll see is that there are some metric end mills in there. I don't have any metric stuff in my shop here, so I don't want it recommending tools like that for me. So I'm going to go through and just highlight all those and delete them. Got rid of another 116 tools. And then the last thing I'm going to do is actually filter by diameter. All the machines I have here are BT30. I don't really want recommendations for any tool like, say, bigger than half an inch. So we're just going to say less than or equal to 0.5 inches. Because like helical has some pretty big stuff like 1-inch end mills. I don't really need those end mills. So anything that's greater than, we'll do strictly greater than half an inch, like 5/8. Technically I can run some 5/8 stuff, but I don't like to do it. And so for me, that would be like uber special situation. So we're going to go get rid of these guys. And there we go. We have gotten rid of another roughly 750 tools from that library. And we can clear all the filters. And now we're down to a set of tools that I would be pretty happy to have recommended to me, going up to about half an inch there. Right. So there we go. I'm going to just rename this here just to keep track of it. We'll call it aluminum moon units, and they're so-called moon units. That's what Lawrence calls them because we went to the moon using imperial units. So in honor of Lawrence, we'll call it that. I will export this library, save that, and now we can go pull that up into Toolpath. And remember, our goal here is to tell Toolpath that what we want is helical recommendations. So the first thing I'm going to do is just upload that tool library. This is the Moon Units one. This will take, I don't know, 10 seconds or something. There's still quite a few tools in there. And now we can go look at this library and just see we're almost good to go here. If you haven't already prepped your library, click this Generate Presets button, and that'll just use Pre-Tool, which is Toolpath's free like tool library preparation tool, to throw some presets on there for you. You could go over into Pre-Tool and do like more comprehensive editing if you wanted, but there you go. Now Toolpath is kind of like brute force just applied presets to everything in a pretty logical way. Obviously, more refined thing where you'd like separate roughers and finishers out and stuff could be done. You can go do that over in Pre-Tool. But this is good enough for now. We'll go into our cut config. We'll go, tool libraries is where your main cutting tools, these are ones you can actually use to cut the part are. And then recommendations you're not cutting with, but Toolpath will suggest them for you as if like, hey, go buy these tools or go get them out of your drawer or whatever, however you want to use it. So I just turned off the Kennametal and the helical stuff, and the Harvey stuff. We will turn on the helical stuff here, and now we can see these are some basic drills and taps, countersinks, and these helical end mills. We will save that, and now we'll go back and regenerate this part, and that will force it. It's using the same cut config or the same process, but now that regeneration will happen with the helical tools that I added to that cut config instead. It'll just take a moment here to catch up. That's a lot of tools. I just want to highlight while it goes how much work Toolpath is doing for you here. So if we go into this library, right, I only have 10 core tools in my machine. That's why you saw that part have so much red. I think I have like one ball mill and it's not super long, so it can't be used for all of those features. But there are still almost 2,000 tools, even after I filtered it down, almost 2,000 tools in this helical solutions. End mills, apparently I spelled it wrong, aluminum moon units. So still a fair number of tools going there. And Toolpath is churning through that library for you and helping you to, figure out what tools you should buy. So we'll see what kind of results it gives us here. I suspect we will get a lot of half-inch end mills. You've given it the entire library to choose from, and this is not a super small part. There's banana for scale, so there's room to fit some bigger end mills in there. We will see what it ended up choosing. So a couple of things about this tool recommendation engine. It's showing you which features are going to get used by each of these tools. And then if you double click on the tool, you get a lot more information there. So yeah, it chose a 1/2-inch tool with an 1/8-inch radius, and it chose it because it's the fastest way to remove material there. So You double click on this and you can see again, we're still choosing a 1/2 inch tool, this time with a 60 thou radius. And this one, there's that coating I was telling you about, so we haven't like removed any of the coatings or anything. But there you go. That is a fully programmed part. Well, I guess not quite yet. We still have 68%. So what you would do now is add in these tools. You see there's some stuff here, like this drill showed up twice. I'm just going to only pick the one drill. It should be fine. A little bit more work we can do there to compact this down a little bit more. My suspicion is that many people wouldn't want to buy a 1/2 inch end mill, just a bunch of 1/2 inch end mills just to make this part. Those tend to be a little bit more expensive. You might choose something smaller. Maybe that's some more future work. Definitely give it a try and let me know how it works for you. And reach out and give me some feedback on the features.